I mean, it's an impossible choice, really. You let the public go to rack and ruin, or you spend a huge amount of money. We can't overstate what a big sum this is. It's bigger than furlough, and it's per year. It's every year. It's not a one-off.
Absolutely. This is a rolling programme. That's one of the reasons why Team Truss seem to be leaning towards doing this on basically the country's books, on borrowing, if you will, for the short term, because we frankly don't know what the international price of energy is going to be for the next year, for the next 2 years. When's it going to come down? Might it go even higher? So many people are, to some extent, describing this as a blank cheque. Because that's the situation we're facing. However, people who you would assume to be ideological allies of Liz Truss have been criticising these proposals, have been saying this breaks the price signal, something very important in terms of trying to boost supply and in terms of trying to reduce demand as well. So it's expected that today we will hear more about the supply side of the equation from Liz Truss, as much as we'll hear about keeping the prices down for consumers.
So by that, we're expecting to hear things like the green light for fracking, more drilling in the North Sea, etc., etc.
Absolutely. It looks like that moratorium on fracking, on shale gas extraction, will be lifted. It also looks like the green light will be given to new sites in the North Sea. But also when it comes to nuclear power, there could be some very interesting proposals. We know that the United Kingdom government wants to build, on average, 1 reactor a year. Not every year from now, of course, it takes time, but averaging out over a decade, there'll be, by the end of the decade, 8 more. That was the parting promise of Boris Johnson. At Prime Minister's questions yesterday, Liz Truss started talking about Scotland quite a bit when it came to nuclear power. Now, the Scottish Nationalist Party bans new nuclear power north of the border. That's currently SNP policy. It seems that Liz Truss may be wanting to make a political play against the SNP today, almost challenging the Scottish government to approve new nuclear power stations in Scotland. That might be an interesting part of what she has to say.
Tom, this is the whole confusion. I remember that nuclear power was regarded as so awful, so taboo, so toxic. Then it's regarded as environmentally friendly. Does this leave the Scottish government out of kilter, out of line? I mean, we just need to be told the truth. Is it green or is it toxic and poisonous the way the Scottish government believes that it is?
Well, there's a tricky point here because there is still a stigma attached to nuclear power amongst many people in the country. It's not the most popular form of energy, but there is an overwhelming scientific consensus that it is one of the safest and greenest and most powerful forms of energy. It takes up, the amount of land that a nuclear power station takes up is minuscule, and one nuclear power station can power 7% of the country's electricity needs. Whereas if you want to do the same with wind farms or solar panels or anything else, the amount of land use and material use is extraordinary.